morning, everyone. Happy Hanukkah and Chodesh Tov. Today is Rosh Chodesh Tevet. And as we are celebrating the 6th day of Hanukkah, we know that each and every night of Hanukkah, we not only light an additional candle, but there is also the shamash. The word shamash means the servant candle, which stands above all the other candles. And the question is, why on Hanukkah do we light a shamash candle each and every night? And the answer is because we say in Hanerot Halalu Kodeshem, these candles, these flames are holy. They're sacred candles. They're sacred light. And therefore, Ein Lanu Reshut L'Ishtamesh Behem. We have no permission to benefit personally from the light. And therefore, we cannot use the light of the menorah, since they are holy lights, for personal use or personal gain, to read or to see our way. So therefore we have an additional candle for illumination for our personal mundane use. But the question then is, why only on Hanukkah? We know that every Friday night we light Shabbat candles, every holiday we light candles, and there we also say, Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbat Kodesh, to light the flames of the Holy Shabbat. But there we're allowed to benefit from the flames of the Shabbat candles or the holiday candles. But we don't light a shamash candle over the Shabbat candles or the holiday candles. So why only on Hanukkah? And the answer is that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs that says that what was the difference between the Greeks and the Jews? What was the philosophical, ideological difference and war all about? And he says the Greeks believed in the holiness of beauty, and the Jews believed in the beauty of holiness. You see, the Greeks believed that everything in this world has to have a utilitarian, pragmatic function and purpose. But they did not believe in the concept of holiness, of spirituality, of godliness, of sacredness, that something unto itself is sacred. It's not a means to an end. It's not just about what you do with it, but its very being, its very existence, its very essence is sacred. And like the flames of the candle, we could look at it, observe it, marvel at it, but we cannot utilize it for our personal benefit or use. However, the Jewish people recognize the holiness and the godliness and the spirituality that lies within the physical. And therefore, the message of the Hanukkah menorah is that there are things in this world that God made that are holy. And the first thing that God made is the soul of man. As King Solomon says, Ner Hashem, the candle of God, is the soul of man. And therefore, when we see another human being, we cannot see them as a means to our gain, our end. How can we utilize this person's and benefit from their abilities, from their talents? How can I use this person as an instrument for my goals? But rather look with awe, with amazement, with wonder at God's creation. And like the shamash candle, serve that person, help that person, be a servant candle to that person, rather than see that person as someone who is being able to fulfill your dreams and your goals and your purposes. And today we're seeing the same exact war in Israel between Israel and Hamas. Hamas sees its citizens as a means to an end, for a political goal, for a personal ambition. The leaders of Hamas are sitting in Qatar with billions of dollars in royalty and luxury and affluence, enjoying their lives while they send their citizens to die. They are using the civilians as human shields, building military bases under hospitals and schools. They don't care about their people. They just use them for their own purposes. They don't recognize the holiness, the sacredness of every human life. But to the Jewish people, every human life is sacred. And our mission in life is to serve our fellow men, to uplift them, to help one another, rather than to use one another and abuse one another like the Palestinians and Hamas do with their innocent citizens. And the sooner the Palestinians in Gaza come to recognize that they are merely being used by their leaders for their benefit, rather than being served by their leaders, the sooner the downfall of Hamas will occur and the Palestinian people will be able to live in freedom. This past Shabbat we had two guests from Kfar Aza, Avi Lulu and Orit Tzadikovic, who came to spend Shabbat with our community. And they told me that when they boarded the flight on Wednesday of last week, El Al, to come to Palm Beach, they got on the plane, they went into their seat in the back of the plane in coach. Before the plane was ready to take off, one of the stewardess comes up and says, "Are you Avi Lulu? And are you Aritz Sadakovich?" And they said, "Yes." And she said, "Please take all your belongings and follow me." They looked at each other. What did we do? Are we getting kicked off the plane? What happened? They followed her instructions, took their bags from the overhead compartment and started to follow her as she proceeded to walk them through the coach section, into the business section, through the business section, into the first class section, and took them to the front row of the first class section of the plane. And there the pilots were waiting outside the cockpit and said to them, "Welcome, Bruchim Habaim. Someone called ahead and said that you would be on our flight. We know what you and your community has suffered. We're sorry for your loss, Orit, of your beloved husband who died defending Kfar Aza on October 7th. We're so sorry, Avi, for your son who was taken captive as a hostage in Gaza. Come, we want to give you comfortable seats in the front of the plane." That's the attitude of a Jew. How can I help another human being? How can I uplift them? How can I serve them like the shamash candles? How could I recognize not just the humanity in every person, but the godliness and the sacredness of every human life? Have a happy Chanukah and a Chodesh Tov.